Hi, kindergarten. I see you. Are you having fun at home making all these art projects? I hope so. Today we're going to talk about texture, and we're going to include texture in our art project. So texture is the way something feels, and the more you can feel it, the more textural it is. So my skin doesn't have much texture to it. But this ball has lots of texture. This is an exercise ball, and it's full of little bumps. So if you were going to draw the bumps on that exercise ball, you would use repeated shapes and repeated lines and repeat them over and over and over and over and over. And that would create the feeling of texture. I've got something else to share here. This is not a real bird, but take a close look at the texture of its feathers, even on its head and face, and its tail. So to draw those textures, we would repeat lines and shapes over and over to fill in the area so it looks feathery. So you're going to be doing a drawing today that includes texture, and we're going to be using a seahorse as the subject because they are very textural, as you will see in just a moment. So your learning goal for today is that you can create texture in art by repeating lines and shapes. And I'm going to show you how to do that using a seahorse as our subject. Take a look at this seahorse. Isn't it magnificent? Look at all the textures and the colors and the shape of its body. Not all seahorses are alike. This one seems a bit thinner, has less texture, but really beautiful light colors. Many artists have used seahorses for the subject of their paintings and drawings. These seahorses all look very different. Look at the colors and the style and the poses and the backgrounds. We're going to create a seahorse today, and you get to pick the colors and the textures and the shapes and the background. I'm going to begin with the belly of the seahorse, so leave some room below it for the tail and above it for the neck and head. I'm drawing a circle, but if you would like to trace a quarter, that's about the size that I'm drawing. These two lines are coming from the circle and leading up to the neck and leading down to the tail. Now is a good time to stop the video and try to catch up to where I am now. The head is another circle, a smaller circle. You can trace a nickel for that. I'm adding the face and the horns that stick up on the top. Notice the face looks a lot like a horse. When you're ready, move down to the tail and let's continue it into a spiral. Notice the tail is getting thinner and thinner as it curls inward. There's also a little fin on the back of the seahorse. You can add that now. Create whatever bumpy texture you would like to draw along the back of the seahorse. Remember all the pictures that we saw earlier? Feel free to go back and look at some of those. Now is a good time to find your eraser and erase part of the circle that you drew in the belly and in the head, so it all looks like one continuous body. I think I'll add some details now, like a mouth and an eye. Fix up that face. And perhaps some textures on the body, like some stripes with some bumpy lines that go across from front to back. I remember seeing some of that in one of the seahorse pictures that we looked at earlier. You can change yours and make it whatever texture you like. I think this seahorse needs some environment. Maybe his tail should be wrapped around a piece of grassy seaweed. So I'm going to draw the seagrass going right up through the middle of his spiraled tail. And then I've got to make some more seaweed next to it so it looks like a little plant. I'm trying to overlap. I'm putting some of the seaweed behind his tail and some in front. and some is long and others are short. And I'll make a little bit of land to go with it, something bumpy. It's like sand at the bottom of the ocean. And then you can put whatever you want in the water with the seahorse. You could make a whole family of baby seahorses swimming around, or a school of fish all looking at your seahorse. That's what I'm doing here. Maybe some more sea plants. Try this one. They're like little cylinders, tubes. I think I'll try a shell right here. And maybe another type of shell, like a scallop. I've got a little space over here. I should add something. I think I'll add a larger fish with bigger fins and a bigger tail. Okay, I'm done with part 1, and so are you. Come back next week for part 2. Welcome back. In part 2, we're going to be adding some color to our picture. I like to start with a black marker, and it does not need to be a permanent marker, so any black you can find. You can even use a black crayon or a black colored pencil, but I like the marker the best because then when I color over it, it doesn't smear the black. I'm going to outline my entire picture right now, so I'll put it in fast forward. Think about your colors before you actually start. I know that I'm going to be using blue to do my water, a blue crayon, so I don't want to use blue for my seahorse or the other things. I'm going to do my seahorse in some red, oranges, pinks, maybe even yellow. When I start coloring in with marker, you'll see that I start leaving little white spaces, and that's because I plan on using a yellow crayon later to fill those in. Watch how I can brighten up this green crayon by adding yellow crayon to the top of it. I like to use crayon instead of marker for big areas like water or sky. And I'm going to start this one by drawing the wavy lines that go from right to left or side to side to look like the flow of the water. Don't forget to color in your sand. And then if you'd like to take a lighter blue and color in over your wavy lines, that could fill in all the water. Just do it slowly and neatly so it doesn't look scribbled. I think I'm done with mine. Now you should start yours, and don't forget to stop and pause the video as often as you like, and then send me a photo of yours in our art team.